Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Pooja Walia Man from SGI Samalkha. Today we are going to talk on the module Emergence of Services from the paper Services Marketing. After completing this module, you should be able to understand how service sector evolved and the factors influencing the evolution of services. Services are deeds, acts, or performance. The complexity to this simple definition is added when we realize that there are no pure services, no pure tangible products. Philip Kotler defines a service as any act or performance that one party can offer to another that is essentially intangible and does not result in ownership of anything. Its production may or may not be tied to a physical product. There is a growing market for services and increasing dominance of services in economic worldwide. Services are a dominant force in countries around the world, as can be seen in the global feature. The tremendous growth and economic contribution of the service sector has drawn increasing attention to the issues and problems of service sector industries. There was a time when it was believed that the Industrial Revolution was the only solution to the problems of poverty, unemployment, and various other ills of society. Now, however, the service sector promises to fulfill the task. Services touch the lives of every person every day. Around the world, innovative newcomers offering new standards of service have succeeded in markets where established competitors have failed to please today's demanding customers. Many barriers to competition are being swept away, allowing the entry of eager newcomers ranging from tiny startup operations like garden maintenance or babysitting services to well-financed multinational firms importing the service concepts previously developed and tested in other countries like Uber. Established businesses often find it hard to maintain the customer loyalty in the face of competition from innovative firms offering new product features, improved performance, price cutting, clever promotions, and the introduction of more convenient technology-driven delivery systems. Let us look at the evolving environment of services. Liberalization, privatization, and globalization has brought unprecedented changes in the economic, trade, and industrial scenarios. India is fast moving from a protected economy to an open market economy and becoming integrated with the world economy. The LPG environment has exposed various organizations, including the service sector, to the challenges of competition, service quality, cost, and the competitive environment that will help organizations to modernize. Some of these are unable to cope with the changes which may have to face the consequences of survival of the fittest. Growth of service industry can be attributed to the changing lifestyle, changing world, changing industrial economies, changing population pyramids, and change in technology. There is a drastic change in the industrial environment and inter-industry relationship because of two vital components, that is, service and information technology. Depending on the industry and the country in which the service firm does the business, the underlying causes of such changes may include any of the 12 forces listed below. Like the factors underlying any revolution, some of the origins of today's service sector revolution go back a number of years, whereas others reflect a chain of relatively recent events that continues to unfold. Here is a snapshot of the evolving environment of services. A look at all these components give an understanding to the changing pattern of the services. So students, let's have a look on the changing patterns of government ownership and regulation. Traditionally, many service industries were highly regulated. Government agencies set price levels, placed geographical constraints on the distribution strategies, and in some instances, even defined the service attributes. Since the late 1970s, there has been a trend in the US and Europe towards partial or complete deregulation in a number of major service industries. Further relaxation of regulations on trade in services between members of the European Union has already started to reshape the economic landscape of Europe. Reduced government regulation has already eliminated or minimized many constraints on competitive activity in such industries as air freight, airlines, railways, road transport, banking, securities, insurance, and telecommunications. Barriers to entry by new firms have been dropped in many instances. Geographic restrictions on service delivery has been reduced. There is more freedom to compete on price, and existing firms have been able to expand into new markets or new lines of business. But reduced regulation is not an unmixed blessing. Conversely, lifting restrictions on pricing may benefit customers in the short run as competition cuts the prices, but may leave insufficient profits for needed future investments. For instance, fierce price competition among American domestic airlines led to huge financial losses within the industry, thereby bankrupting several airlines. About service quality and safety, it was a pitiable situation. Profitable foreign airlines such as British Airways and Singapore Airlines gained market share by offering better service than American carriers on international routes. Of course, not all regulatory changes represent a relaxation of government tools. In many countries, steps continue to be taken to strengthen consumer protection laws, to safeguard employees, to improve health and safety, and to protect the environment. Privatization. The term privatization was coined in Great Britain to describe the policy of transforming government organizations into investor owned companies. Led by Britain, privatization of public corporations has been moving rapidly ahead in a number of countries across Europe, as well as in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and more recently in some Asian and Latin American states. The transformation of such service operations as national airlines, telecommunication services, and utilities such as gas, electricity, and water into private enterprise sectors has led to the reconstructure and cost cutting and a more market focused posture of services. When privatization is combined with the relaxing of regulatory barriers to allow entry of new competitors, as was done in the British telecommunications or water industries, the marketing implications could be dramatic. The privatization of utilities has led to a trend towards international ownership, which many authorities see as irreversible. Privatization can also apply to regional or local governmental departments. At the local level, for instance, services such as refuse collection and cleaning have been shifted from the public sector to private firms. Not everyone is convinced, however, that such changes are beneficial to all sectors of the population. When services are provided by public agencies, there are often cross subsidies designed to achieve a broader social goal. With privatization, there are fears that the search for efficiency and profits will lead to cuts in service and price increases. The result may be to deny less affluent segments the services they need at prices they can afford. Hence, the argument for continued regulation of prices and terms of service in key industries such as healthcare, telecommunications, water, electricity, and passenger rail transportation. Students, let's now talk about the various technological innovations. New technologies are radically altering the ways in which many service organizations do business with their customers, as well as what goes on behind the scenes. Perhaps the most powerful force for change today comes from the integration of computers and telecommunications. Companies operating information-based services, such as financial service firms, are seeing the nature and scope of their businesses totally transformed by the advent of national or even global electronic delivery systems, including the Internet and its best known component, the World Wide Web. For instance, Amazon.com delivers the same product to the customers as a traditional bookshop, but in a very different context. Although book lovers may complain that it cannot offer the chance to browse the shelves of a friendly bookshop and leaf through a book, Amazon.com offers far more choice and convenience, global access, and often lower prices. The launch of Amazon's Kindle e-reader, followed by Apple's iPad, enabled the download of books, starting a transformation in the way people consume literature. Although people had been downloading music for years, the success of Apple's iPod and iTunes store made this means of consuming music commonplace, with a far-reaching effect on the music industry. Technological change affects many other types of services too, from air freight to hotels to retail stores. Express courier firms such as TNT, DHL, FedEx, and UPS, for instance, recognized that the ability to provide real-time information about the customer's packages had become as important to success as the physical movement of those packages. Technology does more than enable the creation of new or improved services. It may also facilitate re-engineering of such activities as delivery of information, order taking and payment, enhance a firm's ability to maintain more consistent service standards, permit the creation of centralized customer service departments, allow replacement of personnel by machines for repetitive tasks, and lead to greater involvement of customers in operations through self-service and the internet. Growth of service chains and franchisee network is our next discussion topic. More and more services are being delivered through national or even global chains. The respected brand names such as the Burger King, Body Shop, Ibis, Lufthansa, etc. have spread far from their original roots. In some instances, such chains are entirely company-owned. In others, the creator of the original concept has entered into partnerships with the outside investors. Franchising involves the licensing of independent entrepreneurs to produce and sell a branded service according to tightly specified procedures. It is an increasingly popular way to finance the expansion of multi-site service chains that deliver a consistent service concept. Large franchise chains are either replacing or absorbing a wide array of small, independent service businesses in fields as diverse as bookkeeping, car hire, dry cleaning, hairdressing, photocopying, plumbing, fast food restaurant, and the estate agency services. Among the requirements for success are the creation of mass media advertising campaigns to promote brand names nationwide and even worldwide, standardization of service operations, formalized training programs, a never-ending search for new products, continued emphasis on improving efficiency and dual marketing programs directed at customers and franchisees respectively. Let us now talk about internationalization and globalization. The internationalization of service companies is readily apparent to any tourist or business executive traveling abroad. Airlines and air freight companies that were formerly just domestic in scope, today have extensive foreign route networks. Numerous financial service firms, advertising agencies, hotel chains, fast food restaurants, car hire agencies, and accounting firms now operate on several continents. This strategy may reflect a desire to serve existing customers better, to penetrate new markets, or even to target both. The net effect is to increase competition and encourage the transfer of innovation in both services and processes from country to country. Many well-known service companies in Europe are foreign-owned. For example, McDonald's, the Four Seasons hotels, etc. In turn, Americans are often surprised to learn that the Burger King is owned by the British company. A walk around many of the world's major cities quickly reveals numerous and famous service names that originated in other parts of the globe. Franchising allows a service concept developed in one country to be delivered around the world through distribution systems owned by local investors. Internationalization of service businesses is being facilitated by the free trade agreements, such as those between Canada, Mexico, and the US, called as the NAFTA, between the South American countries, and of course, between the current member states of the European Union. However, there are fears that barriers will be erected to impede trade in services between the free trade blocs and other nations, as well as between the blocs themselves. Developing a strategy for competing effectively across numerous different countries is becoming a major marketing priority for many service firms. So, students, is there a pressure to improve productivity? With increasing competition, often price-based has come under great pressure to improve productivity. Demands by investors for better returns on their investments have also fueled the search for new ways to increase profits by reducing the cost of service delivery. Historically, the service sector has lagged behind the manufacturing sector in productivity improvement. Although there are encouraging signs that some services are beginning to catch up, especially when allowance is made for simultaneous improvement in quality. Using technology to replace labor is one cost-cutting route that has been followed in many industries. Re-engineering of processes often result in speeding up operations by cutting out unnecessary steps. However, managers need to be aware of the risk that cost-cutting measures driven by finance and operations personnel without regard for the customer needs may lead to a perceived deterioration in quality and convenience. The 1980s were marked by growing customer discontent with the quality of both goods and services. Many of the problems with manufactured products concern poor service at the retail point of purchase and with difficulties in solving problems, obtaining refunds, or getting repairs made after the sale. Service industries such as banks, hotels, car hire firms, restaurants, and telephone companies were as much criticized for human failings on the part of their employees as for failures on the technical aspects of service. With the growing realization that improving quality was good for business and necessary for effective competition, a radical change in thinking took place. Traditional notions of quality were replaced by the new imperative of letting quality by customer driven basis, which had enormous implications for the importance of service marketing and the role of customer research in both service and manufacturing sectors. Numerous firms have invested in research to determine what their customers want on every dimension of service, in quality improvement programs designed to deliver what customers want, and in regular measurement of how satisfied their customers are with the quality of service received. The next is the expansion of leasing and rental business. Leasing and rental businesses represent a marriage between service and manufacturing businesses. Increasingly, both corporate and individual customers find that they can enjoy the use of a physical product without actually owning it. Long-term leases may involve use of the product alone, such as a lorry, or provision of a host of related services at the same time. In road transport, for instance, full service leasing provides almost everything, including painting, washing, maintenance, tires, fuel, license fees, road service, substitute vehicles, and even drivers. In the UK, as the home improvement and the do-it-yourself markets have grown, many entrepreneurs have gone into the business to rent electrical and mechanical equipments, ranging from carpet cleaners and hedge trimmers to power tools, wallpaper strippers, and even the cement mixers. Personnel too can be hired for the short periods rather than employing them for a full time, as is evidenced by the growth of firms supplying temporary workers from secretaries to security guards. Europe is following practices that have long prevailed in Canada and the US, with more students becoming part-time workers.
Manufacturers as service providers. Service profit centers within manufacturing firms are transforming many well known companies in fields such as computers, motor vehicles, and electrical and mechanical equipment. Supplementary services, once designed to help sell equipment, including consultation, credit, transportation, and delivery, installation, training, and maintenance, are now offered as profit seeking services in their own right, even to customers who have chosen to purchase competing equipment. Several large manufacturers, including General Electric, Ford, and Mercedes, have become important players in the global financial services industry as a result of developing credit financing and leasing divisions. Similarly, numerous manufacturing firms now seek to base much of their competitive appeal on the capabilities of their worldwide consultation, maintenance, repair, and problem solving services. In fact, service profit centers often contribute a substantial proportion of the revenues earned by such well known manufacturers as IBM, Hewlett-Packard, and Rank Xerox. Pressures on public and non-profit organizations to find new income. The financial pressures confronting public and non-profit organizations are forcing them not only to cut costs and develop more efficient operations, but also to pay more attention to customer needs and competitive activities. In search for new sources of income, many non-business organizations are developing marketing orientation, which often involves rethinking their product lines, adding profit-seeking services such as shops, retail catalogs, restaurants, and consultancy, becoming more selective about the market segments they target and opting more realistic pricing policies. As the costs of staging soccer matches has risen, not least because of the sharp rise in players' salaries, many football clubs across Europe have become highly marketing oriented. A growing number engage in significant merchandising activities, with shops selling goods from replica football strips to baby wear. New or renovated stadia now feature restaurants and special spectator boxes that can be sold or rented to companies. Hiring and promotion of innovative managers. Traditionally, many service industries were very inbred. Managers intended to spend their entire careers working within a single industry, even when a single organization. Each industry was seen as unique and outsiders were suspect. Relatively, few managers possessed graduate degrees in business such as an MBA, although they might have held an industry specific diploma in a field such as hotel management or healthcare administration. In recent years, however, competition and enlightened self interest have led companies to recruit better qualified managers who are willing to question traditional ways of doing business and able to bring new ideas from previous work experience in any industry. In retail banking, for instance, senior managers in fields such as marketing are sometimes recruited from fast moving consumer goods companies. And within many firms, intensive training programs are now exposing employees at all levels to new tools and concepts. Other reasons for growth of services. The first reason is consumer affluence. Due to the fast rise in income of consumers, they are attracted towards the new areas like clubs, health clubs, domestic services. The second reason is working women. During the recent times, a large number of women have come up in a variety of professions. In short, women are getting involved in almost all male dominated activities. Due to this, demand of various services has increased. The third reason is greater life expectancy. According to the World Development Report and World Human Resource Index, the life expectancy of people has increased significantly all over the world, barring few developing countries. This results into the requirement of medical services.
So, students, let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. It is obvious that most economies the world over are increasingly becoming service economies, and therefore there is a need to manage the service economies in the best possible way. The service sector has now surpassed the manufacturing sector in terms of contribution to the GDP. LPG has brought unprecedented changes in the economic, trade and industrial scenarios. Customers' needs are changing, so considering various consumer needs and changing structure of industry has put various pressures on the service marketeer to better understand the consumer and market faces. Several forces are driving the sector today. Thank you.